You open your eyes. Light, texture, color. The world is suddenly there, detailed and dense. But here's a question. Was it there before you looked? Not in the philosophical, abstract sense, but in the cold, experimental, physics-defined sense. Is reality only real when it's observed? This isn't science fiction. It's a legitimate question at the heart of quantum mechanics, consciousness theory, and the very fabric of existence. What we see, what we measure, what we experience might not be reality itself, but something constructed in the moment of observation. If that sounds dramatic, it's because it is. And it's also something science has been quietly circling around for the past 100 years. Let's start with the cornerstone of weird physics, the double-slit experiment. First performed by Thomas Young in 1801, it was originally designed to test the nature of light. Fire a beam of light at a barrier with 2 slits, and what appears on the other side is an interference pattern. Classic wave behavior, but do it with single particles like photons or electrons, and things get stranger. Fire them one at a time, and they still form a wave-like interference pattern, as if each particle is somehow going through both slits at once. Yet when you place a detector at the slits to observe which slit the particle goes through, the interference pattern disappears. The particle chooses one path. The wave function collapses. It's as if the act of observing it changes its behavior, or more disturbingly, creates the behavior. Now let's pause here. What does observe mean in this context? In quantum mechanics, observation doesn't necessarily mean human vision. It means measurement, an interaction with a system that produces a definite outcome. But this still raises a question. Is measurement just interaction, or is consciousness required? This is where the interpretations begin to split. In the Copenhagen interpretation, favored by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, the quantum world remains in a cloud of probabilities until measured. Measurement causes the wave function to collapse into a single reality. But what causes that collapse? Is it the physical interaction with a detector, or is it the conscious registration of that interaction? This debate leads us straight into the mind-bending world of Wigner's friend. In 1961, physicist Eugene Wigner proposed a thought experiment. Suppose your friend is inside a lab performing a quantum measurement, say, observing whether an atom decays or not. From their perspective, they see a definite result. The atom either decayed or didn't. But from your perspective, standing outside the lab, the entire room exists in a superposition. The atom is both decayed and not decayed. Your friend is simultaneously seeing both outcomes. 2 different realities, both seemingly valid, until you open the door and make your observation, collapsing the entire system into one result. So which one is real? Wigner's friend suggests that quantum reality is not objective, that it might be fundamentally tied to observers. And maybe not just any observers, but conscious ones. Some physicists, like John von Neumann, speculated that consciousness itself might be the thing that collapses the wave function. This idea gave rise to what's now called the von Neumann-Wigner interpretation, also known as consciousness causes collapse. In this view, the universe exists as a vast field of probability until a conscious observer looks at it. Then, and only then, does it resolve into something definite. Modern interpretations tend to favor decoherence, the idea that interaction with the environment, not human minds, causes collapse. But the mystery isn't so easily dismissed, because even if collapse is caused by physical interaction, it still leaves the question, why do we get one outcome instead of many? Why does your version of reality feel so stable? Let's revisit the most famous metaphor in quantum physics, Schrödinger's cat. A cat in a sealed box, a quantum trigger. If an atom decays, the cat dies. If it doesn't, the cat lives. Until you open the box, the cat is in a superposition, both alive and dead. But open the box and you see only one outcome. Some interpretations, like many worlds, argue that both outcomes happen, but in separate branches of the universe. You observe one version, another version of you observes the other. But all of this raises the same eerie possibility. If no one looks, does the cat stay in limbo forever? Now bring it closer to home. Did you know your brain is always behind reality? It takes roughly 80 milliseconds for your brain to process incoming visual information. So the now you experience is already the past. Your brain predicts, fills in, and reconstructs reality to make it feel smooth and coherent. In a sense, you're not perceiving the world. You're simulating it, second by second. If this is true for your body, why wouldn't it be true for the universe? This brings us to the philosopher George Berkeley, who argued in the 18th century that matter doesn't exist independently of perception. He famously said, "Esse est percipi." To be is to be perceived. He believed that reality only exists as long as it is observed, and that an eternal mind, God, was the constant observer holding everything together. But what if no such universal mind exists? What if the universe is simply rendered as we experience it? Like a game engine loading only the textures directly in front of your character. Some modern thinkers, like Nick Bostrom, speculate we might live in a simulation, a programmed universe rendered at the point of observation. No one writes code for the back of the moon unless someone's looking at it. Others, like Leonard Susskind, argue for a holographic universe, where everything we see in 3 dimensions is encoded on a distant 2-dimensional boundary. In both cases, reality is not what it appears to be, and it may not even exist until accessed by an observer. This doesn't mean the universe is fake. It means it might be relational, that space, time, particles, even existence, are not absolute, but dependent on interaction. And maybe the ultimate interaction is consciousness itself. So what if the universe only exists when you look at it? Not in a metaphorical sense, not in a dreamlike sense, but in the realest, most literal way, that everything you know is generated moment by moment as it is observed. Maybe the stars are silent until heard, the world dark until seen. Maybe even your own self flickers into being, the moment you wonder if you exist. And maybe, just maybe, if you stop looking, the universe stops too.